Welcome to Great Talking Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the podcast where we review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment. Now, let's go, baby! Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Now, as I continue on the final review, spoiler review, of course, for the season finale of Loki Season 2, this is an Episode 6 spoiler review. If you have not seen any of the seasons, go watch this, pause this, of course, and then check out all my spoiler reviews for Season 2 and Loki. And thank you for so much to everybody who's been following, keeping up with me on this, and I enjoy all the comments, and I hope you guys enjoy this journey. So, let's get into this, and y'all been warned. This is a spoiler. Let's go. The final episode starts off with Loki trying to figure out how to get back to the TVA as it was. Loki went back in time and centuries just to learn science and physics. And that's what Obi said, to take as long as it takes for him to learn that as much as Obi knows. Because we see him go back to the same scene before the loom of the multiverse started to explode, and all the timelines basically blew up. And he would try multiple times, and we see Victor Timely just collapse or spaghetti out, whatever they call it. But at one point, he finally got it where he just had to get it right, where the high radiations where Victor Timely could survive. He finally did it. He finally made it to the end of it. Got it all set up, and everything was going good. He even got back alive. But then it failed. And the reason why is you cannot contain infinite of timelines. And basically it's like trying to do math at zero. It's trying to multiply by the zero, divide by zero. It's just not going to work. So it was a failed thing. Loki is so discouraged, he's so upset. Then he realized, let me time slip back to season 1 on the final episode where Sylvie kills He Who Remains. And this, we see him try multiple times, 100 times to thousands. And then He Who Remains realized that this ain't the first time him traveling back here. And they have this conversation where, He Who Remains explains that the time loom is actually a fail system type machine, which that means that it will get rid of all the unnecessary timeline branches, but the TVA was never meant to survive. As He Who Remains put it, it was just one of those, it's just collateral damage. We also learned that this is part of He Who Remains' plan, that he knew this because he's done this. He's time slipped as well. He understands how this works. But Loki shows him that he has learned, and this ain't the first time they had this particular conversation as we see him, free Sylvie. And so, He Who Remains tries to tempt Loki to kill Sylvie, but Loki realizes that he can change the equation, and Loki's He Who Remains tells him, no, that's not going to work, but you can try. But he goes back to where in season 1, where he's in an interrogation room type with Mobius, and there's this heartwarming moment where he has with Mobius and Sylvie. So, with Mobius, he asked him, how do you live making the tough choices? And Mobius tells a story about him and Renslayer, about an 8-year-old boy, where Mobius didn't have the heart to do it. He froze, he stopped, but Renslayer didn't, and that's how she became the judge of the TVA. And then he shakes his hand, and that timeline collapsed. He goes back to Sylvie, where they're in Obi's little apartment or place where he's staying at in this timeline branch, and ask, should I do it? What should I do? But then Loki realizes that he should make the sacrifice. He knows what type of God he needs to be. And, he goes out there, tells Victor, no, don't go out there. He goes out there with no machine, with the time loom. He goes out there, uses his power, and we see Loki become Loki in a cool way where, he's wearing his next outfit, like he wears the long horns. And if you remember season 1 where you saw like the variant Loki, where it was more comic book accurate to this like Loki costume that if you read old Thor or Marvel comic books, it was an older guy. I forget the gentleman's name who portrayed him. I apologize, but he did the exact same thing, used his powers to control, and I think he blew up the timeline too, but not in a destruction way. But he did it where he had all the timelines connect to him. Like I noticed like he put some on his heart, his body, and basically he's using his own life support, and I believe his actual powers to maintain and keep all the timeline branches kind of like calm, delayed, kind of smooth. And he sits on his throne. He finally sits on a throne. And it becomes like this, all the timeline branches in the multiverse turns into a tree where it represents the tree of life. And that's how that part ended. And then we see that the TVA is back and they have a new system, a new operation, and the new view of how they're going to run this TVA. And we see everybody bringing back Miss Minutes, and they're making sure that she's not crazy, she's not evil, but they're leaving that up in air. We see Mobius and B-15 have a conversation, and basically Mobius is gonna leave the TVA, and it's just because of the fact that Mobius learned that he has kids. He has 2 boys. And what we see in that scene too was, in that timeline, that there's a Mobius that's there and exists. So we don't know what he's gonna do, but I think he's now gonna start living his life. I think he's gonna start a new life, basically, where maybe he has kids, maybe he has a wife. So it's one of those things that it's very interesting. And then we see a glimpse of Renslayer, and where she's at, this is where you kind of get vanished or zapped. And there's a pyramid, and I think that was very interesting. So it seems like Renslayer is not dead, so there's something more to this character. And it's one of those episodes where it's sad. Everybody got what they wanted, but it's still sad because in a way they were defeated. Like, he who remains is not really defeated. King the Conqueror is not defeated yet. And when will he be officially defeated? I don't know. One of the Avengers movies, I'm assuming. But other than that, this was a great, like, action-packed episode, but with a lot of emotions. And it was really cool to see Loki grow and mature. And what I like about this is Loki has 3 new trilogy stories. If they wanted to continue doing it, turn Loki into a movie, or just continue doing another Disney Plus series, another season of Loki. So there's a lot going on, but I think this was a beautiful ending to set up the next Marvel movie, which is the Marvels, and other future projects. But it seems like that for right now, Loki got the victory, but I know the war is still going on in the multiverse. So it had, to me, this sets up the Secret Wars in a way. And this sets up the way they have it in a tree now, I think they sets up for other Marvel characters from like Deadpool, Fantastic Four, and the X-Men. All that. I think there's gonna be something, and I think this the way they have it now, where it looks like a tree of life, is the idea of it. So let's get into some of the topics. The MCU slash multiverse. So what this means to me, and I'm just thinking, I was thinking about it after I watched this episode. So I'm just gonna go back to Loki. Is the reason, but the way they got that multiverse now, and the tree branches is like a tree, and it represents the tree of life. Like, even though like there's gonna be some tree branches that will fall, but the roots won't die. This tree will continue to grow and make other trees in the sense of it. And this is, to me, the way I think Marvel's trying to tell the audience that they're all connected. The multiverse is all connected to the main MCU Earth 616. And it's like they may not share the same Earth. They may not share the same realm, but they're right next to each other, basically. Like, and that's why I think they went with the tree, because you can say that this MCU Earth 616 is on its own tree branch, basically, because they shaped it up like a tree. It could be a tree branch, it can be a leaf, don't matter. But it's basically like, okay, they're on one, but right next to is another branch of a tree, part of the same tree, or a leaf too. And some of the leaves are going to fall off. Some of the tree branches are going to break. And of course, that's going to be dangerous, high explosion. There's going to be a lot of drama. There's going to be a lot of, people who have lost their lives in this. So when that tree branch does break off, it's not good, but it's also not that bad, basically. And it all depends of what the story and the scenario they're going with it. So this is a multiverse story, and I totally get it. Like, this is very it's very tricky, but it's better to, I like how they're doing this with it. It's better to explain it in a tree format. Like, just think of a tree that grows. You can knock the whole tree down, but if you don't kill the roots, that tree will grow. You can plant another tree and start a new life in that same soil, in that same spot. And I know sometimes that doesn't always work, but if you just look at it like that, planting a tree, then you'll understand like the MCU's multiverse. So it's very messy, though. It's still messy because, like a tree, it can be messy. You're gonna have a tree branch that's longer than the other. You're gonna have a tree branch that's more stronger. You're gonna have tree branches that are much weaker and smaller. And that's how the MCU / this multiverse is really going to be. It's like a tree. So, yes, they find a way to kind of explain how, if they choose to bring back, the topic is bringing back Iron Man, bringing back Captain America, Black Widow, and so forth. But also, this gives opportunities to explain how, like, Deadpool, the Fantastic Four, X-Men, and so forth can be in the MCU. And obviously, with the right technology, you can travel. If you have the right magic, science is magic. So there's a lot of science and there's a lot of magic. So, like Loki is a god, he can do magic. Wanda, a witch, can do magic. Doctor Strange, a sorceress, he can do magic, right? But then you have your science, like you can go along the line with Scott Lang and Hank Pym and the other gang with the quantum. You can do Iron Man, you can do Spider-Man, who know technology, who know how to build devices. Deadpool 2, he knew people who can make a device to time travel, thanks to Cable. You also just have just different ways to open up portals to other realms, to other multiverse. Like, as example, the Guardian of the Galaxies, if you just go a certain speed, light years basically, you can go to a different galaxy. So it's not like, Rocket just needs the right ship and he just needs the right fuel and engine to pull that off. And so there's different ways to get around and climb this tree that Loki has created with all the multiverse. And what's very interesting is Loki could, I don't know how he would, but he could actually go into one of these multiverses. So, example, if they wanted to put Deadpool or Loki in Deadpool 3, they could. They have a way now to explain how he did that, whether he physically do it or Loki is known for making holographic versions of himself where you think you're really talking to him and he's not really there. That's just a trick he knows how to do. He's always done that since phase 1, basically. So he can do that. He could also physically be there. So I don't know what his limits is because all the timeline is connected to Loki. Like, he is the battery. He is the source. And he's kind of stuck. But he made a sacrifice for all his friends. And that's what I think is how this MCU multiverse is going to be. Now, let's just continue on with Loki. Loki, the god of the multiverse. He's like, or Loki, he who remains, right? Or Loki remains. I don't know, however you want to call it. But he is now like the god, the king, the ruler of this. Like, he sits on the throne of the multiverse. And I believe that they're gonna give him limits. Like, I think it's not gonna be perfect. I think, again, he'll have certain abilities, but I think there'll be a limit where maybe if he moves too long, the multiverse will collapse. Time dimensions will break. The tree will die. That's the idea. Like, the tree will live forever if Loki doesn't move. But I also think if Loki dies, I think his spirit will and his power will continue to stay there because he's in a spot where he's in a gray area of the multiverse and the quantum realm. Time moves differently, obviously. So I know they have that excuse. But I think they're going to give him limits. Like, he's not very powerful. He's like a battery type. So there's going to be some issues. I don't know if he can starve or can he eat. What does he eat? I don't know. But I just know they're going to give him limits. And they're doing that just to tell the story, or the purpose of the story with the multiverse saga. Now, let's talk about the next topic, Season 3. So, could there be a Season 3? I would say yes. If Disney wants to, if the actors, the actress, the directors, the producers, so forth, all agree to do another season of Loki, there's plenty of stories. But my only thing is, so we got Renslayer, Mobius, the TVA, and Sylvie, and then Loki. Now, does Loki season 3 have less Loki, as in like you seeing him perform, seeing him interact, or do you find a way to have Loki still interact like season 1, season 2, where Loki's the star of it? But does season 3 make Loki the well? But I don't think Loki would be the star of season 3. I don't think they would do that. I think they're trying to tell us that Loki's not going to leave this one particular spot. But that gives them more chances to have more episodes than just 6 episodes. Maybe they can hit 12. But I also understand they would try to attempt to crunch all these individual stories like Renslayer. Like, what if, like, here's a theory with Renslayer. What if that pyramid is the King Tut of Kang the Conqueror? You know, Roma Tut. You know, I think that's the name, Roma Tut. But that's just a variant of Kang the Conqueror, a.k.a. He Who Remains, right? What if that's the pyramid that he's in and Renslayer meets him? Like, Renslayer, she's somewhat of a badass, and she's crazy. She's like, she's going to look that giant dog that's shaped as a cloud in the eyes, and she's going to run through it and get in that Tut. Because also, if you look on the grass, there was the TVA symbol with its motto, which I forgot what it says, but there's a possibility of that. But if you did a season 3, that would mean to focus on that particular story, Loki couldn't be the star of season 3. And here's another reason why. Because Mobius has a story too. Just seeing Mobius start a new chapter in his life, basically, would be very interesting to watch. And I think the viewers, would enjoy that. Because what is next for Mobius? So, again, I go back to my last theory, where I believe Mobius could be a variant of Odin. I think there's something there. Like, I think this will tie in with Thor at some point. Even a Thor movie, if they continue it. And then just with the TVA, like, that's its own story. So, before I get to Sylvie, you got Renslayer, Mobius, and TVA. You can mix them all the stories together. But I think if they added more episodes, they can get more out of it. Like, I think there's so much more to this. But that would mean Loki could not be the star of season 3. And I think that would be acceptable. I think I would be okay with it. I think the audience would. Because I think these characters are interested enough for the viewers to want to know and watch more about them. And see them do some cool action stuff. Whatever that may be. Like, Renslayer could continue on being a really great villain. And to see Mobius become a hero and have his shine, I think people would like that just because of the actor Owen Wilson. And then the TVA, to watch them become like the good cops would be very interesting. I think instead of watching them arrest, everybody for breaking every law, they'll just arrest, the bad guys, the villains. They'd be like, like the Power Rangers or the Ninja Turtle type. Just goofy, but, they can do this. I think there's potential with that. Unless they want to do a TVA series, that'd be cool, but... And then Sylvie, again, like, if they choose to do a season 3, instead of Loki being the star of season 3, Sylvie could be the star of this season because she's just a variant version of Loki. So she's the female version of Loki. So you would have a Loki as a star, but it wouldn't be Tom Hiddleston. But I think that'd be okay. So there's potential for a season 3, but I also believe that Loki shouldn't be the star of season 3 if they choose to. But to me, there's a lot for that because this would help fill in time of just scheduling like the big Marvel movies. And with that, they can throw clips and tips and bits of like what He Who Remains is doing, how he would come back, what Kang the Conqueror is up to, right? And this would also help out. So then they can, when they get to the big movies, like, you know, this week is the Marvels. So it's out now in theaters as I'm recording, and I will have a non-spoiler review and a spoiler review out, so be on the lookout for that. But it gives them time to do stuff like that. Or the Deadpool 3, the Fantastic Four, set up, you know, Doctor Doom. You know, whatever they need to do. Because, you know, instead of, you know, just making another Disney Plus series, they can just plan a day. But, I mean, there's so many ways they can do this. So, whatever way, but I do hope they do a season 3. I think this Loki series will be worth it. And again, I personally think Loki should not be the star of season 3. That's just me. And what's next for Kang / He Who Remains? Well, as I believe, I think the Roma Tut, aka another variant of Kang, I think this would be his thing. I know it makes sense to put him in like a Moon Knight series, but I wouldn't yet. Because Moon Knight's not, the character hasn't established himself yet. They would need like 3 seasons to pull that off. But, you know, I think Kang / He Who Remains, I think obviously we'll see him again. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, but will he be in the Marvel film? I don't know. I don't know until I see it, but I hope he is, but I think he's going to be popping out here and there in post-credits, mid-credit scenes until they get back to Loki. Hopefully to do a season 3, so we would have to wait till next year for that announcement, but other than that, this episode was really great, and as far as season 2, 1 out of 10, I'm giving this a 10. What a great season. If you had it to compare it from compare season 1 to season 2, it's really tough. They're really close, neck to neck. Because they had really great episodes. They had a really great impact. And it was very fun to watch. So, it's something I would love to rewatch again. And obviously continue watching Marvel stuffs. But that's my review. Thank you so much, guys. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you can always be updated with all my latest content. Thank you guys, and peace